People are coming from all over the world to learn, and we share our technologies and knowledge. What you can see in front of me is the light blue ones. They're all first responders spread in the neighborhoods of Jerusalem.
I think what's incredible really here with this whole story is that someone in the US made a donation for an ambulance. That result is on the ground saving a life right here in Jerusalem. I'm on my way to meet with Ann Ayalon, the president of Christian Friends of Israel's Red Cross. It's called Mada in Hebrew, or Magen Adom, David's Red Shield.
I have tried to live my life by a verse that says, I will show my faith by my deeds. So when you are giving in a practical way, you are showing your faith to the Jewish people. I'm the president of Christian Friends of Magen Adom, and our purpose is to fundraise in order to purchase ambulances, medical motorcycles, defibrillators, all the kinds of equipment that is needed in order to provide this disaster relief. Blood services, EMT service, it's the Red Cross, it's the 911, neighborhood doctor, it's everything all rolled into one.
So let's see one of these ambulances. This is donated by Christians, Friends of Israel. Can we go in?
Go right ahead.
Oh. This ambulance is one of over 1,000 ambulances in Israel donated by Christians worldwide. For a small country like Israel, that's a lot. This support is needed for Mada to continue saving lives on the land, as is the relationship between Christians and Israel crucial for this country's survival. What really shaped Ann's sense of mission was understanding the significance of protecting that bond.
Back in 2001, I don't know if you remember, we had the Intifada.
The Second Intifada was a Palestinian uprising targeting Israeli civilians in mass terror attacks. One catastrophic high-casualty event followed another, a true test for Israel's first responders and medical teams. But to the world, Israel was the oppressor.
It's easier sometimes to support the underdog. And it was like the world came against Israel. And every day I would open a newspaper, and it was like we were alone. And every morning I would cry. I could not understand. And then one day after some really deep prayer, it came to me, why am I worrying about this? God has it all taken care of. I need to do my job. I need to do the purpose that He's given to me to do.
Ann's purpose, through all her various activities over the years, has always been to advocate for Israel around the world.
To go into a church who really doesn't know what Israel is about, and to open up Romans 11 and say, the Jewish people need the Christian people, and here is proof that you are supposed to support Israel. You want us to be a light into the nations. How can we do that if we don't have your support?
Ilana, I'm looking at some of the vehicles we have lined up here. I see a lot of them say donated by Christian Friends of Magen David from different places in the world.
It's very exciting when people at a stoplight may see the ambulance. They see the Christians really do care, not just forming a prayer meeting and such, but actually saving lives, doing something practical. And we are a platform of reconciliation and healing.
So you're taking us where now? We're going down to the Command and Control Center?
The dispatch center, yes.
Wow. Look at this place. I'm looking around, and there are two things that are very apparent. How calm and controlled everything is here, and how saturated with technology it is.
Everything that you see here was developed in-house, one of the most advanced command and control systems in the EMS world.
Really?
And people are coming from all over the world to learn, and we share our technologies and knowledge. What you can see in front of me is the light blue ones. They're all first responders spread in the neighborhoods of Jerusalem.
I think what's incredible really here with this whole story is that someone in the US made a donation for an ambulance. That result is on the ground saving a life right here in Jerusalem.
There are fantastic people all over the world that decided to support the work of Magen David Adom in order that we, the tool, will provide medical care to any person anywhere in Israel.
Paul makes it very clear, we're grafted into the root. That means then that if Israel is to be a light unto the nations, and you nourish that root, you become a part of that tree. And when you nourish the root, your branches grow, your flowers blossom. So it is not only that Israel needs the Christian people, but the Christians need the Jewish people.
Shalom from Jerusalem. Today we have a great honor having with us Michael Mistretta, who's the CEO of firm Fellowship of Israeli Related Ministry. Michael, shalom. Baruch haba.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Having you with us.
So our heart at Firm is really to inspire, educate, and mobilize Christians to love Israel and the Jewish people in a gospel-centered way.
How do you see things? What does it really mean for you?
I think for me, what part of my personal story, when I first opened up my Bible and read for the first time with new eyes Romans chapter 9, and we see Paul talking at this climax of Romans, and he says, there's an unceasing sorrow, a grief that doesn't go away in my heart for my people, for the Jewish people. And I remember reading that and saying, God, I don't have a heart for my people this way. Would you show me what Paul saw and change my heart? So I think most younger pastors look at a love for Israel and they say, oh, that's only a political thing. There's three things that I think need to look different about a love for Israel in this generation.
Okay.
So number one is, instead of obligation, we need to feel gratitude and desire. We're not just going to follow a biblical principle. We want to know why, and to show how that it adds value to our faith. Secondly, I believe instead of a blind and romantic love, sometimes that could be the criticism of a love for Israel, that, oh, you just love everything that Israel does. And
that turns people off.
Especially our generation, because our generation values authenticity, empathy, and transparency. And so we're not saying everything Israel does politically is perfect, but we are saying we try our best to preserve the life that we have. And empathy and compassion towards other pain and suffering around us. Finally, the third thing is, I think we need to change the narrative. The narrative has been, oh, Israel was David and all the Arab nations around us Goliath. That narrative doesn't work anymore. Now, if you use that same narrative, they say, well, Israel is the Goliath. Yep. We need to say, hey, instead of David and Goliath, we're actually in the days of Solomon, as an example, where all the nations are coming to learn from the ingenuity and innovation and the blessing that's coming from Israel. Let's change the narrative and see Israel as being a light to the nations. We're blessed in order to be a blessing.
Do you have any message that you want to pass to the world? Tell the people what God has put on your heart.
If you're someone that has already loved Israel and the Jewish people, and you're saying, how can I pass this off to my kids and the next generation? I would encourage you, find a way to bring them here to the land where they can see the land, they see the sights, they can see the value that it's added to their faith, but they could also meet the people. They can find the causes to pray for, to support. And if you're someone who's saying, man, I've always heard that I'm supposed to love Israel and the Jewish people, but I don't know how to start or who to trust, I would encourage you to start by praying for believers here in the land, asking God to reveal out of the scripture that heart of Romans 9, saying, man, God, I don't feel that sorrow or that anguish. And I believe that God will give you that heart and desire for the things that are on his heart.
Michael, thank you very, very much. Thank you for what you guys are doing in Israel, the blessing that you are to so many ministries here in the land.
Thank you.
And to you, our friends, thank you for praying for the peace of Jerusalem. Thank you for standing with Israel and the Middle East. Hope to see you again on another Inside Israel and the Middle East. Shalom.
Hey, I'm Mati Shoshani, and thank you for watching the TBN Israel YouTube channel. We hope this video gave you greater understanding of Israel and her people. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. We'd love to hear from you, so be sure to share what you've learned and ask your questions in comments below. And invite your friends to join the conversation.